Raymond Ruyer was a French philosopher of science who lived from 1902 until 1987, while held as a prisoner of war in Austria during World War II. He painted a watercolor self-portrait. He believed that mind and life were woven into the very fabric of reality. In his 1952 book Neo-finalism, he insisted that every living being unfolds according to hidden goals or themes. He warned against reducing life to mere mechanics or entropy instead. He argued that even an embryo grows under the guidance of an organic memory, a vague, latent form that each cell somehow knows. In his view, the embryo is conscious of forming its future organs and nothing else. Like a craftsperson absorbed wholly in her work in Ruyer's world, minds are everywhere. Each living being is never fully assembled, constantly self-forming by invoking patterns from a deeper, unseen field. Born in the Vosges region of northeastern France, he excelled in both classics and sciences and won a place at the École Normale Supérieure. After the war, he became a professor in Nantes. He clashed with the dominant French trends of his time by rejecting existentialism and Marxist ideology, and instead built his metaphysics on the latest scientific discoveries. The Gnosis of Princeton appeared in 1974 as a pseudo-Gnostic manifesto penned by American scientists. It briefly fooled readers into thinking it was genuine. Most of Ruyer's technical ideas stayed obscure because they were published only in French. Only in the past decade have key texts appeared in English translation, reviving interest in his brand of panpsychism. At the core of his thought lies a biocosmology. He argued that no purely mechanical model could explain how an embryo develops an undifferentiated field of cells can become many possible organs. During this phase, each cell is conscious only of enacting the whole plan, not of anything else. He compared it to an artist fully absorbed in painting, guided by the final image. He extended this idea beyond individual organisms to Ruyer. The material world is the crystallization of non-actual potentials or themes. Living beings constantly draw upon a hidden reservoir. Even simple creatures without brains can show freedom by tapping into a species-wide memory potential. Purely physical causality, he argued, could never produce spontaneous creativity. Nature, in his view, is an ongoing process of self-formation, never fully assembled, but always becoming. He summed it up by saying that life's activity derives from placing the individual in circuit with a thematic non-spatial field. In contrast, strict spatiotemporal determinism would mean death. Viewed cosmically, his philosophy suggests that the universe itself is a kind of mind-like process, his final manuscript, published after his death. In his framework, planetary and cosmic evolution are guided by hidden ends. Reality is not a machine or a simulation run by random code. It is more like a vast dream or an opera unfolding from an inscrutable school of subjectivity. Information in nature lacks full meaning without a conscious subject to interpret it. You cannot reduce information to entropy. Without an eye to interpret signals, information remains incomplete in this way. Ruyer anticipated today's debates in informational metaphysics by pointing out that data require a mind for semantic content to emerge. His vision of panpsychism resonates with modern thinkers. David Chalmers has brought panpsychism into discussions of the hard problem of consciousness. Ruyer anticipated much of this by arguing decades earlier that mind is fundamental to nature skeptics, such as Daniel Dennett, would balk at his approach, treating consciousness as an emergent pattern of computation rather than a universal feature. Ruyer's emphasis on subjectivity runs counter to strict materialism in popular culture. Rather than imagining a digital overlord running a computer simulation, he offered a biological analogy. If our cells are dreaming us, then we are not plugged into silicon. We are being dreamt by the life that we are made of. Though he was ignored by many of his own time, his ideas are finding new relevance. Embryology, epigenetics, and systems biology now highlight organism-level coordination that goes beyond gene. Quantum physics even hints at non-local wholeness ideas he speculated about long ago. Today's researchers in consciousness studies, artificial intelligence, and the limits of computation would do well to explore his work. His radical proposal that life and mind extend throughout nature offers a bold counterpoint to purely materialist views. In a world fascinated by simulation and artificial intelligence, Ruyer invites us to flip the question: what if matter itself is the matrix and consciousness is ground? His complex, mindful universe remains a thought experiment ripe for exploration for anyone hungry for the full story. His writings and those of his followers